All right, ready to dive into a world of mechs and exploration and, oh yeah, ancient corruption. We're talking about expeditions today, the board game.
Oh, cool.
So imagine, right, Europe, just after Rasputin kicks the bucket. Like, you'd think things would be peaceful, right?
Yeah.
But then, bam, a meteorite slams into Siberia, waking up, something sinister.
Right.
And that's where your adventure starts in this game.
I love how they use like that historical setting to just really draw you in, It makes it feel so much more real.
Yeah, it's not just about winning, it's about leading an expedition into this like totally uncharted territory.
Right.
You're searching for glory and riches, piloting these powerful mechs and fighting off corruption that's spreading from that crash site.
And the game does a fantastic job with the artwork too, like really bringing that whole world to life. Those mech mats, the location tiles, the cards, it's all beautifully done.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't played, let's break down the basics. Expeditions is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up. But what are we actually doing on our turns?
Well, at its core, Expeditions is like an engine building game. You're basically trying to become more powerful over time. And you do that through 4 main actions: move, play, gather, and refresh.
Okay, so move, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? We're just moving our mechs around the map.
Exactly. Exploring different locations, each one with its own benefits, and of course, varying levels of that corruption we talked about.
Yes, the corruption. We'll get to that. But first, play. What are we playing?
You'll have a hand of cards: item cards, meteorite cards, and quest cards.
Sounds cool.
Playing a card just means using its effect. These can be anything from getting more resources to, like, gaining special abilities or interacting with the game world.
Gotcha. And I bet gather is all about collecting those resources.
Yeah, you got it. Depending on where your mech is, you might gather workers, snag some valuable items or meteorites, or maybe even grab a map token. Those help you complete quests.
Okay, so we're moving, playing cards, gathering stuff. Refresh has got to be like resetting for the next turn, right?
Exactly. You get your cards and workers back, and then you're ready for your next turn. It's that cycle of exploration, action, and recovery that makes the game so fun.
But there's a unique twist here, right? The way you choose actions in expeditions is different.
It is. Instead of picking just one action each turn, you choose 2. You actually cover one of the 4 actions on your mech mat and the other 2. Those are what you get to do that turn.
So you're always thinking one step ahead, like, how's this choice going to affect my next turn? I love that.
Yeah, it forces you to be more flexible and think long term, you know, which really fits the theme of exploration. You never know what you'll find in the Siberian wilderness.
Speaking of exploration, let's talk mechs. They're not just for show, they each have a unique ability, right? That must change how you play.
Absolutely. For example, the Tatanka. If you're all about quests and objectives, that might be the mech for you. It lets you solve more quests, upgrade more items, and meld more meteorites than other mechs.
Oh, cool. So you're already thinking about strategy when you pick your mech at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, totally.
What are some of the other cool mechs we can choose from?
Well, if you like moving around a lot, there's the Marsh Strider. You can move up to 4 locations each turn instead of the usual 3.
That's a big difference.
Huge difference. And then there's the Odin's Wrath, perfect for players who love resource management. It lets you trade in map tokens for power, guile, or coins.
Okay, I'm starting to see how those different play styles emerge. Now, what about mechs for players who like to, hit things hard?
If you're more aggressive, the Lumberjack is your mech. It makes vanquishing corruption way cheaper. So you clear those locations faster and get those valuable corruption tokens.
I might have to try that one. And finally, the Highlander. What's special about this one?
The Highlander is all about cards, cards, cards. Its ability lets you take cards straight into your hand, not just into your active row. This gives you more options, especially if you like to pull off those crazy combos.
Okay, so we've got our mechs, we're moving around, playing cards, gathering resources, but what are we actually trying to do in expeditions? What does it mean to win?
Well, sure, you want to gather wealth, but the real measure of success here is glory.
Hold on. Glory. What does that even mean in the game?
Glory is like these tokens you earn by completing objectives. Think of them as like badges of honor, proof of your awesome accomplishments.
Gotcha.
These objectives could be anything from solving quests to melding meteorites or even just vanquishing a ton of those corruption tokens.
So it's not just about hoarding resources, it's about proving yourself like a true explorer.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And yeah, those glory tokens are a big part of your final score.
Makes sense. So, Expeditions wants you to have a balanced approach. Explore smart, manage your resources, And think strategically if you want to win.
That's the key.
Now, those location tiles, they're not just blank spaces on the board, are they? They seem like they add a lot to the game.
Oh, totally. Each location represents a different part of Siberia, and each one comes with its own perks and challenges.
I like that.
You might find an ice cave that lets you draw more cards, or a mining town where you can get those precious workers.
So every game feels different, right? Because you never know what you're going to find.
For sure. And that unpredictable element is made even better by, you guessed it, the corruption.
Right, the corruption. It's like
Right.
this constant threat, not just part of the story.
Exactly. Think of it as like this creeping menace that's blocking the good stuff on those location tiles. You need to use your power and guile. Those are two key resources in the game to vanquish it.
So it's like this constant battle, right? Explore new places, gather resources, and clear the way for more exploration.
Precisely. And there are different levels and types of corruption, each needing certain resources to overcome.
So it's not just about blindly using your power and guile. You got to be smart about it.
Exactly. And then you've got the cards, which can really change things up.
The cards, yes. Tell me about those. How do they work?
Well, you have item cards, which give you special abilities or ongoing benefits, meteorite cards, which are like these powerful one-time effects or permanent bonuses, and then there are quest cards, which give you challenges and objectives to complete.
Wow, sounds like there's a lot going on with those cards.
There is. They're like tools in your toolkit, right? Each one gives you a different way to interact with the game world and achieve your goals.
Okay, I'm with you. So like an item card could help you get more workers or give you bonus power when you do certain things.
Yeah. It's like giving your mech special gear, making it stronger and better at exploring and fighting.
Cool. And what about those meteorite cards? They sound pretty powerful.
Oh, they are. They can really shift the momentum of the game. You might be able to move to any location, get a huge boost of power, or even mess with the corruption itself.
Sounds awesome. But there's got to be a downside, right? You can't just use those meteorite cards all the time.
Yeah, they usually cost something to activate, like resources or specific conditions you got to meet. But you can also meld them.
Meld them? What's that?
You tuck them under your mech mat. So instead of that one big effect, you get a permanent bonus.
Ah, I see. So it's a trade-off. Big impact now, or long-term advantage.
Exactly. And as you meld more meteorites, their bonuses can get pretty crazy. It really changes how you play.
Okay, now what about those quest cards?
Quest cards are like those classic adventure goals. You know, clear corruption from a specific spot, gather certain resources, stuff like that. They give you rewards if you complete them, and of course they help you get more glory.
So they're like mini missions within the bigger game.
Yeah, exactly.
And completing those quests not only gives you rewards, but also gets you closer to winning with those glory tokens.
Right. So you see, Expeditions is all about making choices, like constantly. Every action you take, every card you play.
And I'm ready to set up this expedition. It seems like they designed it to get players into the action pretty quickly, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. The very first thing you do is pick your mech. And this is a big decision because each mech's unique ability, that's going to be a big part of your strategy throughout the entire game.
So right from the start, you're making a tough choice. Do you go for like raw power, mobility, card advantage? What's your style? I'm already feeling the pressure.
It's exciting though, right? And to make your expedition even more unique, you also choose a character card and then a matching companion card. These add another layer of strategy because they have their own special abilities that you can use during the game.
So it's like putting together your perfect team, each with their own strengths to help you on your expedition. I love that. Okay, so we've got our mechs, our characters, our trusty sidekicks. What else do we need to set up?
Well, you'll get a bunch of tokens. Glory tokens, those track your achievements. An action token, you'll use that to mark your choices on your turn. And of course, power and guile tokens, those are essential for like vanquishing corruption and using your card abilities.
Yeah, those sound important. All right, so we're all geared up and ready to go. Now, what about the board itself? How does that work?
The game board, they call it the base camp board, is where you keep track of your glory, manage those shared resources, and ultimately that's where you figure out who wins the game. Around the base camp, you've got the location tiles, and these represent all the different places you can explore.
So it's not just random, right? The locations are placed strategically.
You bet. The locations are divided into 3 regions: South, Central, and North. The South locations, those are face up right from the start, so you can see their benefits immediately. But the Central and North locations, those start face down, totally hidden.
Oh, that's where the real exploration kicks in. Flipping over those tiles and discovering what's there must be a blast.
It is. Each face down location has a map token on it, which adds another layer to the game. You collect these tokens as you explore, and you can use them for certain quests or maybe even to trigger special abilities on your cards.
So they're like little rewards you find along the way. I dig it. Okay, we've got the location tiles sorted out. What about the cards?
All right, so we shuffle all the meteorite, item, and quest cards together into one big deck, put it face down, then we deal 5 cards face up. And that creates a shared pool of cards that anyone can buy during the game.
I like that it's not just about the cards you're dealt. You can actually get more options as you play. Adds another level of strategy. Do you stick with what you've got or try to snag those new cards that could really change the game?
Absolutely. And of course, we can't forget the corruption. That's what really sets Expeditions apart from other exploration games.
Right. The corruption. It's not just there for the story, it's something you actively have to deal with. So how does that work during setup?
All those corruption tokens, they go into a bag, but you don't put any on the board at the start. They only come out when you explore and flip over those face-down locations.
So there's this constant element of surprise. You never know how much corruption you're going to run into, which makes things a bit risky and more challenging.
Exactly. And lastly, we put those workers, coins, and extra map tokens where everyone can reach them, creating a shared pool of resources that everyone's going to be fighting over.
Okay, so we've got the locations laid out, the cards are dealt, the corruption is hiding in its bag, and the workers are ready to get to work. What happens now? How does a game of expeditions actually start?
Well, you randomly pick someone to go first, and boom,
Hmm?
the expedition begins. Players take turns doing actions, exploring locations, fighting corruption, completing those cool quests, and basically trying to get as much glory as possible.
Sounds pretty dynamic and exciting, full of tough decisions and those awesome moments where everything comes together.
You got it. Those early turns, they can really make or break you.
So what do you think players should focus on when they first start out?
Well, based on what we've talked about so far, it seems like those first few turns are all about setting yourself up for success later in the game. You want to explore those easy south locations, grab some essential resources, and get your engine going. Yeah, I think that's a solid approach. It's like those first steps in any big adventure. Figure out where you are, get your supplies, and prepare for the challenges ahead.
And there will be challenges. You've got the corruption to worry about, other players trying to get those same resources and glory in those tempting face-down locations, just waiting to be explored. It's a lot to juggle, right?
It is. Do you go for exploring new locations first to get those map tokens and uncover cool benefits? Or do you focus on getting more workers so you can use your card abilities and get your engine running faster? Or maybe you play it safe and just gather resources, making sure you have enough power and guile to deal with whatever comes your way.
So many options, so many ways to achieve glory. As the game goes on, those choices probably become even more important, right? You're going deeper into the unknown, facing tougher corruption, and the competition for glory is really heating up.
Exactly. The tension builds as everyone's trying to control those key locations, complete those rewarding quests, and push their luck with the corruption. And don't forget about the boasting action, where you can actually claim glory for all the cool things you've done.
Oh yeah, boasting. It's not just about bragging in this game. It's an actual strategic move that can change things up. So tell me, how does boasting actually work?
When you boast, you're basically saying, hey, look at what I did. Maybe you've solved a bunch of quests or vanquished a whole lot of corruption. You pick a glory category on the base camp board that you've completed, and you put one of your glory tokens on it, showing everyone your success.
It's like planting your flag and saying, I conquered this. But it's not just about showing off, is it? There are other benefits to boasting too, right?
Absolutely. Boasting makes your character and companion cards stronger. As you get more glory tokens, they get better abilities, giving you more options and control over your actions.
So the more you boast, the stronger you get, which lets you do even more awesome stuff. That's a really cool mechanic.
It is. And as the game progresses, that race to get glory just gets more intense. Everyone's thinking carefully about their moves, trying to figure out what their opponents are going to do, and desperately grabbing for those last few glory tokens that could win them the game.
The last few turns of expeditions must be pretty nerve-wracking. Everyone's trying to do as much as possible, managing those resources down to the very last token and taking risks to try and snatch victory. It all comes down to those strategic decisions and daring moves you've made throughout the game.
And then, bam, it's over. Someone gets their 4th glory token, and that's the end of the game. Everyone gathers around the base camp board, and it's time to add up those scores.
The moment of truth. Everything you've accomplished, the wealth you've gathered, the glory you've earned, the corruption you've defeated, it all gets tallied up. It's a true test of skill and strategy, and in the end, there's one player who successfully navigated the dangers of Siberia and emerged victorious from this thrilling expedition. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground here. As we wrap up this deep dive into expeditions, what's the one thing that really sticks out to you? Like, what's the most impressive part of this game?
It's how they've managed to blend that classic exploration feel with like really clever engine building mechanics. It's not just about wandering around. Every single choice you make is about becoming more powerful and efficient, like building something really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's not just about the numbers and stuff. They've woven in this whole story about, Europe after Rasputin, the mystery of that meteorite, and even that idea of boasting about what you've achieved.
Mm.
It gives the game so much character.
It does. And you can see that in the components too.
Yeah.
Those mech mats, they practically scream, pick a strategy and go for it. Which mech, by the way, were you kind of leaning towards?
Well, I gotta say, the Highlander's calling my name. That card advantage, oh man, I can already imagine some really awesome combos. But I can see why someone who likes to play aggressively would love the Lumberjack.
Yeah, those are both great choices.
Yeah.
Thinking about those location tiles, it makes me wonder, if you're playing for the first time, which location would you be most excited to uncover?
That's a tough one. Maybe the Ice Cave? Getting those extra cards, especially early on, is always a good feeling. But honestly, the mining town is tempting too. Who doesn't love a little extra wealth? So many choices, so little time.
Right, and that's what's so great about expeditions. It's packed with meaningful decisions, from the mech you pick to the locations you explore, the corruption you battle, the cards you play. Every single choice affects the whole game, shaping your path towards ultimate glory.
Makes me want to gather some friends, break out the game, and just get lost in that Siberian wilderness. I can practically feel the tension of those first few turns, the excitement of finding a hidden location, the satisfaction of earning those glory tokens.
I know, right? And as we finish up our deep dive, I think what really resonates with me is this. Expeditions isn't just a game. It's an experience. It's like stepping into a world full of adventure, strategy, and exciting discoveries.
Absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, this deep dive sparks something in you. Maybe you're now curious about expeditions, eager to start your own journey into the heart of Siberia. And if you do, here's a little something to think about. What will your expedition look like? What strategies will you try? What challenges will you overcome? And most importantly, what stories of glory will you bring back from the wilderness?